Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys another WWE All Talk video. Pretty much, I missed a week straight of WWE programming because of homework and Thanksgiving prep and obviously the holiday itself. So I've just decided just to combine yet again all of my WWE reviews into one video. So this is pretty much going to be from Survivor Series that took place last Sunday that I haven't had a chance to review yet. That um, I'm going to review in a couple minutes until main event from last night, or which I don't know when you guys are going to watch this video, so I'll say from main event for November 23rd, 2018, or from WWE 205 Live November um, 20th, 2018. It's going to be one of those two shows. Because since 205 Live had to do with Survivor Series, I figured that I would review 205 Live and the WWE All Talk videos. So whatever the title says is how far I'm gonna go. But it's either gonna be from 205 Live from this past week or um, main event from this past week. So there's that. Pretty much, I'm just gonna. If you've ever watched my WWE All Talk, one of my WWE All Talk videos, I'll just go chronologically from how the shows happen. So I'll do Survivor Series, then I'll do Raw, then SmackDown, then um, you know, um, 205 Live, and then main event. I'll make Mixed Match Challenge its own video, and when I upload that video, I'll say this is being pre-recorded prior to this getting uploaded, so that way nobody would really get confused. So that's pretty much what's going down. So let's get this video underway. All right, so starting with Survivor Series that took place last Sunday. Um, I didn't get a chance to watch the preview show because I was just doing so many other things that day that I just didn't have time to sit down and watch it, so I just didn't. Um, but I did watch the pre-show. We had the panel of Jonathan Coachman, Booker T, Jerry the Kim Lawler, um, Beth Phoenix, and David Otunga. So obviously, too, I don't have any notes to reference off of really about from it segment by segment. So I'm just gonna go based off what I remember. I do have the matches on Wikipedia, so that's pretty much what I'm using as my reference. But Jerry the King Lawler and Booker T both went on the panel at the same time. I think they switched off within the hour, and um, we had the commentary team of Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. So the SmackDown commentary team pretty much commentated the kickoff match. Um, and segments on this show included um, the Raw Women's team um, having like a speech, and Natalya and Ruby Riott got into a brawl, so Alexa Bliss kicked them off the team since they couldn't get along. So that was kind of a waste of sending Natalya and Ruby Riott to Los Angeles, but whatever. Um, and later on in the kickoff, Alexa Bliss added Bayley and Sasha Banks to the team, and they said that they're not interested in winning and working with them, but they want to win for Monday Night Raw. Really didn't make any sense that Bayley and Sasha Banks, I guess I shouldn't say happen to be there because maybe they're going to be on Raw the next day since you know, um, Monday Night Raw the following nights takes place the same venue as Survivor Series, pretty much. Um, but it's kind of like Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan pretty much just got shafted out of the team. They pretty much flew in for nothing. But you could also make the argument they probably flew in for Raw too, but they clearly were already there. So I really didn't like the way that Natty and Ruby Riott were just kicked off the team just for Billy and Sasha Banks just to be added anyways. I thought that was kind of dumb. And then they did for the SmackDown woman. Naomi was just the captain. They didn't really say why she was the captain. I guess they didn't have Asuka be the captain because Asuka would have had to cut a promo, and Asuka's not the best at doing that. So they just ended up being Naomi. And she adds Mandy Rose to the team. I like seeing Mandy Rose and all, but I thought that was kind of a disappointment. I thought they were going to have, like, a big call-up or something get added to the team, but that didn't happen. And what else took place on the kickoff? Both the GMs of Raw and SmackDown got interviewed, which is Paige for SmackDown and Baron Corbin for Raw. And then Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley invaded the panel and said some stuff. So there's that. And then they interviewed Drake Maverick. And I did like that when he was talking about 205 Live, he was all professional. But then when he talked about the AOP, he went to like his heel persona. I thought that was kind of clever. I didn't think the WWE was going to utilize that within the show, but they did. So I thought that was cool. And that was pretty much the entire kickoff. Really can't think of anything else noteworthy that happened, other than the match, obviously. So the match was a 10-on-10 Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match. We had Team SmackDowns, which consisted of co-captains, the Usos, Big E and Xavier Woods, Eric Young and Killian Dane, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Colognes, and that's it. And they were accompanied by Kofi Kingston and Alexander Wolf. And they wrestled Team Raw's co-captains Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, the Revival, the B Team, the Lucha House Party. All three members competed in the match, and I will get to why in a second. And the Ascension. And that was pretty much that. And yeah, this was actually a better kickoff match than I expected. I ended up enjoying this match. I didn't enjoy the. I thought it was just a typical kickoff match though, but I definitely enjoyed it once it came down to the Usos and Woods and Big E versus Roode, Gable, and the Revival. But I'll get into the eliminations. Well, I should mention the big thing that happened right in the beginning. Kalisto was tangling up with one of the colognes. I don't know which cologne it was because I was watching it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was Epico, and what ended up happening was he ended up like tweaking his leg or something because he ended up limping on his leg, and afterwards everybody came in and checked in on him, and it was originally Kalisto and Lindsay Dorado that were competing in the match, but then Grand Metalik ended up taking his place. So they pretty much, I think Kalisto legitimately got injured. I haven't been kept up with the wrestling news, so I don't know really what went down beyond that. But I hope Kalisto's all right. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you could say it didn't really make any sense for Grand Metalik just to take his place, but I think they were just kind of thinking on the fly. But the eliminations went. The Colognes were eliminated when the Revival hit the Shatter Machine on Primo Colon. I have the exact time, 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the match. The B Team were eliminated by Colin Anderson when he hit a schoolboy on Bo Dallas 5 minutes into the match. All members of Sanity were eliminated when Bobby Roode and Chad Gable hit the neckbreaker moonsault combination on Eric Young 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the match, which I actually like that finish that they have. I think that's really cool. The Ascensed were eliminated by Big E when they hit the assisted splash on Victor. Xavier Woods picked up Big E like on his shoulders and hit the splash, which was pretty cool, and that was 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the match. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were eliminated by Lucha House Party when they hit all their dives on everybody, and Grand Metalik had a springboard splash on Carl Anderson at 10 minutes and 40 seconds into the match. Lucha House Party was eliminated. Everybody started hitting dives on each other. Scott Dawson hit a really cool suicide dive through the ropes, which was pretty impressive. And Lucha House Party both hit a double moonsault on everybody. One of the Usos did the same thing. I thought that was really cool. And Jey Uso eliminated him with the alley oos on Lindsay Dorado, which I believe is the assisted Samoan drop, 11 minutes and 55 seconds into the match. and then it became one hell of like a 8-man tag with Rude Gable and the Revival versus Xavier Woods, Big E, and the Usos. I thought they worked a hell of a match, but eventually, Big E and Xavier Woods hit up, up, down, down, and Chad Gable 18 minutes and 30 seconds into the match, eliminating them. And then the Revival hit Shattered Machine on Xavier Woods, 19 minutes and 50 seconds into the match, eliminated Xavier Woods and Big E. And then it came down to the Usos and the Revival. They worked a hell of a match. I did like the spot where the Revival hit the superplex into the splash. I believe Dawson did the splash, and one of the Usos, the other one hit a splash. But then the finish came when the Usos hit the double super kick on the Revival, and hit the Jimmy Uso hit the Uso splash on Scott Dawson 22 minutes and 20 seconds into the match, eliminated them. So the sole survivors were the Usos. So SmackDown was up 1-0, but I'll get into that later on in the show. But yeah, I thought it was a good kickoff match. Actually, a pretty good kickoff match. I enjoyed it. I'll give it, but I had to give it a star rating. I'll give it 3.25. Because I definitely enjoyed once it came down to Lucha House Party, Rude Gable and the Revival versus the New Day and the Usos. And Team SmackDown, it made sense to win. But I thought everybody on Team Raw looked pretty good. The main tag teams I liked were obviously the Revival, Lucha House Party, Rude and Gable. Well, I don't like Rude and Gable, but whatever. So yeah. So then we had the actual show itself. We had the commentary team on that show of the Raw commentary team consisted of Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Renee Young. The SmackDown commentary team was pretty much the same commentary team that was on the kickoff. And the 205 Live commentary team was Nigel McGuinness, Vic Joseph, and Percy Watson. And pretty much since it was Raw versus SmackDown, they didn't do the same thing they did last year where everybody was just on the commentary team. They had them switch off, so occasionally the Raw commentary team would commentate, the SmackDown commentary team would commentate, and obviously when it was time for the 205 Live match, the 205 Live commentators commentated. So I think that made sense because 5 people on commentary just is too much. I thought it was too much last year, and I'm glad they didn't do that again this year. But we had the first match on the show. It was a Raw versus SmackDown 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. Team Raw's Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina Snuka, Bayley, and Sasha Banks with team captain Alexa Bliss versus Team SmackDown's captain Naomi, Carmella, Sonya Deville, Asuka, and Mandy Rose. Everybody gets into a brawl right away, and due to all the commotion, Naomi gets super kicked by Tamina and gets eliminated 1 minute and 20 seconds into the match. And then Carmella hits a school goal on Tamina 1 minute and 30 seconds into the match. So, and then she does a dance break, which I thought was cool. R-Truth was there. I thought R-Truth played a good role on this show. I believe, too, they did a segment with R-Truth where he was upset that he couldn't be on the SmackDown women's team because he was a guy, and he said, don't put science into this. I thought that was funny. And then pretty much it just kind of goes back to like a traditional Survivor Series match. Mickie James looked good in this match, but Sonya Deville hits a sliding knee on Mickie James, and Mandy Rose tags herself in and takes the credit and eliminates her, and this happened 6 minutes and 50 seconds into the match. And then at some point in the match, Bayley hit a belly-to-belly on Carmella, 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the match, eliminated her. And then Sasha Banks gets Mandy Rose into the bank statement and eliminates her 9 minutes and 55 seconds into the match. And then everybody gets into a brawl again. Bayley and Sonya Deville ended up getting counted out 14 minutes and 45 seconds into the match. So then it's down to pretty much a handicap match, Asuka versus Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. Asuka and Sasha Banks went at it for a while, and eventually Asuka makes Sasha Banks... what happened is Sasha Banks goes to go on the top rope. Nia Jax pushes her off, and Asuka gets her in the Asuka lock and eliminates Sasha Banks 18 minutes and 10 seconds into the match. And then Nia Jax just destroys Asuka, hits leg drop after leg drop on her, and then obviously a Samoan drop. 18 minutes and 50 seconds into the match, and Nia Jax is the sole survivor. So this gave Raw the victory, 1-1, which we thought. But then later on, we found out that the kickoff. Apparently, the WWE doesn't care about the kickoff because they didn't count the kickoff match. It was pretty much 1-0. So if WWE really proves that they don't give a shit about the kickoff, which I think is really stupid, but whatever. But yeah, Nia Jax got booed heavily, obviously, because she injured Becky Lynch last week on Raw, so she's getting massive heat, and the WWE is just going to go full swim with it, which I think is I guess a good idea, but I really think that I don't think Nia Jax should be fired, but I think Nia Jax just needs to be put back down in developmental and just work on her win work. Doesn't really need to go on TV, just work on her win work. Then Baron Corbin and Stephanie McMahon did a segment backstage, and Stephanie McMahon was happy about this and says that Baron Corbin could get promoted to permanent GM if Raw clean sweeps SmackDown tonight, which obviously we knew was bullshit, but whatever. And then Shane McMahon and Paige come up and say that SmackDown's great and they're going to come back. Then we had the next match. It was a Raw versus SmackDown match. Raw's Intercontinental Champion. Seth, so it was a Raw versus SmackDown champion versus champion match. Raw's Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins versus SmackDown's United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. I did like the win attire Nakamura was wearing, and I thought they had a hell of a matchup. I think this is probably one of Shinsuke Nakamura's best matches on the main roster, which is kind of sad, but he's really hasn't been given much of an opportunity to have a good match on the main roster, and I thought this was one of his best matches on the main roster. They just really tore down the house. I don't really need to break down the match. If you've ever seen them wrestle in any match, you've seen the match, but this was a hell of a matchup, a really nice dream match, and I thought they worked a great match, and I thought it was a really good match. I did forget to give my star ratings for the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown match. I thought that match was alright. I'll give it 2.5 stars. But yeah, this match I thought was a really good match. If I had to rate this match, I'll give this match 3 3/4. It was really good. It was probably one of my favorite matches on the show. And I really enjoyed it. What keeps this match from being a 4-star match is the finish. So Seth Rollins beats Nakamura with the stomp, gets the win. Here's what I don't like about this finish is SmackDown needed to get a win, and I'll get into more why later on. And you easily could have just had Seth Rollins lose this match. They should have had Dean Ambrose interfere in this match and have Nakamura, win the match via Dean Ambrose screwing over Seth Rollins. Because later on in the show, they announced that Seth Rollins at TLC was going to defend his Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose, so why not just go there anyways? I didn't really think that made a whole lot of sense. And I thought they kind of diminished Nakamura because he's had a pretty lackluster U.S. title run. He really hasn't had much to do. So I thought, this would have been a nice victory for Nakamura to get. So I really didn't like that much, but overall, I still thought it was a really good match. Then we had the crappiest match of the whole Survivor Series weekend. It was another Raw versus SmackDown champion versus champion match. Raw Tag Team Champions AOP with Drake Maverick ringside versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Bar with the Big Show ringside. Crappy match. Well, it wasn't a crappy match, but it was just there. Nobody cared. I didn't care. But then there was obviously other reasons nobody cared because during this match, we had an invasion by Enzo Amore. Apparently, he was at Survivor Series. This was after he made his album based off his ex-girlfriend, Liv Morgan. And he went up on the stands and did a promo and tried to get the crowd into it. Apparently, he injured a fan, so he was thrown out of the building, and pretty much he's banned from any WWE venue ever. It's pretty pathetic. And yeah, Enzo just... Why, Enzo? Just... Yeah, it's... Enzo kind of trying to stay relevant, and I don't really get what, like, it's pretty petty. He was fired months ago, and it was pretty childish for him to do this. Like it'd be different if a fan did this, but this is somebody that was like in the business doing this, and I thought that was pretty childish. And you could say, well, he paid his ticket, but this is completely different. I thought it was pretty childish. So how could have anybody cared about this? Now, obviously, I'm not happy this happened, but I'm happy this didn't happen during the cruiserweight match. At least it was this match. So yeah, this match was pretty boring. This is probably the worst match I think the Balls ever had. Um, AOP won, which I think obviously I was okay with AOP winning. They did the thing with Drake Maverick pissed his pants, which I thought was stupid. And Big Show like laughed at him. And yeah, AOP just hits a double power bomb on Sheamus and wins. And I thought it was just stupid. And then we had probably one of the best matches on the show. So if I had to rate that match, I'll give it 2 stars. Then we had one of the best matches on the show. It was a Cruiserweight Championship match. Cruiserweight Champion Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali. I thought they had a hell of a Cruiserweight Championship match. I was pretty surprised about this. I was surprised that it even made it on the main code. I was kind of expecting the WWE like last minute to announce, oh, by the way, this is taking place on the kickoff. But no, they actually gave this. They actually put this match on the main card, which I was very surprised about. I was very happy about this too, and I thought they worked a hell of a cruiserweight championship match. Now, obviously, they've had better matches on 205 Live, but I was very happy the WWE let Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali go out there and show what they could do in the win, and they didn't hold them back. They were able to go out there, and they were given 12 minutes and 20 seconds, and I was happy about this. The past 2 shows the Cruiserweights have been on, they've knocked it out of the park, and I hope this means that the Cruiserweights are going to have some sort of comeback. I was pretty happy about this, and yeah, they worked a hell of a match. They even did the Spanish fly off the announcer's table, which I didn't expect them to do, and Buddy Murphy hit a super kick, trapping Mustafa Ali's head into the turnbuckle, and then hit the Murphy's Law for the win. And yeah, Buddy Murphy retains his cruiserweight title, which I'm alright with because he just won the championship not that long ago. I think Buddy Murphy, at the moment, is one of the best cruiserweights on the roster, so I think it made sense for him to retain his title. And yeah, I was happy about this. So I thought this was really good. I'll give it 3 3/4. I really enjoyed this match. Then we had the men's 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series elimination match. Team was Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Bobby Lashley, with Raw's team captain Baron Corbin and Leo Rush ringside versus Team SmackDown's team captain The Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. And this match was fine, but it pissed me off. There's a lot of things that happened in this match that pissed me the hell off, like Team Raw starts arguing in the beginning and just distracts Drew McIntyre long enough for Samoa Joe to try to put him in the Coquina clutch, but McIntyre fought out of it, and then eventually turns it into the Claymore kick and eliminates Samoa Joe 35 seconds into this match. That was a huge joke. I get sometimes in Survivor Series you have to do like surprise eliminations like that. But why did you have to do it with Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe is supposed to be like this badass Samoan bulldozer that just destroys everybody, and he's getting eliminated and like in 35 seconds in a Survivor Series match. I thought that was a joke. And then the match pretty much spills into chaos. And I think what I hated about this match is that it was pretty much a copycat of the past 3 men versus men Survivor Series elimination match they've seen. Of course, they had to put Braun Strowman through the table. Seems like they've done that every year where Strowman goes through the table. And when you watch War Games, what the difference was they actually got smarter and didn't make the same mistakes that they made last year. So I thought that was really stupid. And yeah, I did like though the exchange that Rey Mysterio and Finn Balor had with each other. I thought that was awesome, and I really hope we get to see like a future match between them. Rey Mysterio eliminated him with the 619, the springboard splash. Thought that was awesome. And of course, Shane McMahon, the best in the world, just had to get the elimination on Dolph Ziggler. That was really stupid. Dolph Ziggler couldn't get his like comeuppance for Shane McMahon beating him in the World Cup Finals. I thought that was stupid. Which, by the way, that really hasn't been brought up at all. So that World Cup meant nothing. And then pretty much Braun Strowman just owns everybody on SmackDown. He eliminates Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, The Miz, and Shane McMahon, all with the running power slam. And the sole survivors are Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. So I thought it was really stupid that Shane McMahon just had to be the last guy that got out. Like, why? I guess if you're a McMahon, I don't know. And then Baron Corbin jumps Braun Strowman afterwards, and I believe they announced that at TLC it's going to be Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman. And they did announce that at Starrcade it's going to be Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman as well. Because they're airing an hour of Starrcade at on the network Sunday. Which is really weird, it's only an hour of it, but whatever. So then, the last two matches really made Survivor Series, I thought. It was another Raw versus SmackDown match. Raw's Ronda Rousey versus SmackDown Charlotte Flair. My favorite match of the night. The main event would have been my favorite match of the night, but I'll get into why that wasn't my favorite match of the night later on. But this match, oh yeah, I have to do my star rating for the men's Survivor Series match. I was shooting on 3, but I was thinking this match really pissed me off, so I'm giving it 2 3/4. They had if they hadn't had Shane McMahon be like the sole survivor and do a lot of dumb stuff in that match, I would have given well, not the sole survivor, but the last guy to get eliminated off SmackDown, then I would have given it a higher rating. And I thought they had worked a hell of a match. Charlotte Flair pretty much out-wrestled Ronda Rousey anytime she tried to do a Rambo, and she was just taking Ronda Rousey to school. Ronda Rousey did a judo throws under Charlotte Flair, and I thought they worked a hell of a match. Probably Ronda Rousey's best singles match in WWE. I think my favorite match is still the mixed tag she had at WrestleMania earlier this year, but I think it was one of her best matches, and I thought it was a hell of a match. But obviously, the biggest talking point of this match is that Charlotte Flair, I guess, is a heel now because she acted heelish by not wanting to get in the ring, taking a breather. But then she snaps. She beats the crap out of Ronda Rousey, hits her with a kendo stick, and beats the crap out of her pretty much. And she hits her with a chair. She puts the chair around her neck and stomps on it, and she beats the crap out of Ronda Rousey. And what was really weird about this is the crowd loved it. They were chanting Charlotte Flair. They were booing Ronda Rousey, and I thought it was awesome. And it kind of sucks that it took Becky Lynch being injured for the WWE finally to realize to turn Charlotte Flair heel, Becky Lynch face. But I loved it. Charlotte Flair needed some type of change for a while, and I didn't really mind the finish too much because you really can't have both of them lose. Which I'm guessing they're probably going to do this match again, either at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I would guess probably the Royal Rumble because they probably want to have Becky Lynch versus Ronda at Mania. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this match 4 3/4. Not probably 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this match. Not 4 3/4. That was a huge mess up. And then we had the main event. Raw versus SmackDown champion versus champion match. Raw's WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman ringside versus SmackDown's WWE Champion Daniel Bryan. For the first time since Battleground 2016, the WWE title main evented a dual-branded pay-per-view. Obviously, it hadn't happened since Battleground 2016 when it was the Shield Triple Threat match. And now it's happened, and now the WWE Champion's finally in the main event slot. And also for the first time since Fastlane, the WWE Champion is in the main event slot. I mean, it's probably mainly because Brock Lesnar was in the match, but still, the WWE, you have to kind of take it where you can get it. And Daniel Bryan got interviewed and they tried to get a word with him about his actions, but he just did that evil smile and walked away, which obviously I liked because there's really no reason for him to give an explanation yet. I think they have stuff they could say for SmackDown. And Daniel Bryan came out with his theme song and acted like he was going to do the yes chance, but then immediately cut them off, which I like because he shouldn't be doing the yes chance because that's going to make people cheer him. He even walked to the ring like he was Spider-Man, which I thought was awesome. And he was acting pretty heelish in the match where he tried to go block Lesnar when they were attacking him, and Lesnar wasn't buying any of this stuff before the match started, and then Paul Heyman does his introduction to Brock Lesnar, and then we had the match itself, and Daniel Bryan tries to go block Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar pretty much destroys Daniel Bryan in the beginning. And this is why this isn't the match of the night, because I probably, if I went back and watched this match now, would enjoy it a lot more than I did. But it was pretty damn scary because of those German suplexes that Daniel Bryan was taking from Brock Lesnar. The first one he hits where he drops Bryan on his neck was really goddamn scary. And I think the WWE tried to play this as safe as they could because they would stop, the match for like a minute or so and have the referee check on Daniel Bryan. And I noticed Brock didn't mainly belly to back suplexes afterwards, but then he did another German suplex later on that completely knocked out Daniel Bryan, and that was really damn scary. So this match was a little bit scary. But Lesnar hits the F5 on Daniel Bryan, goes for the cover, but Lesnar lifts up his head because he's not done playing with Daniel Bryan. And I thought Lesnar was acting like a good heel in the match. And then Lesnar went for a second F5, but Bryan landed on his feet, which inadvertently caused him to kick the referee. Low blow block Lesnar, hits the running knee on him, covers him. Lesnar kicks out, which obviously I think everybody expected. And Daniel Bryan just starts firing away at Brock Lesnar. He hits a suicide dive on him, a drop kick, his typical Daniel Bryan drop kick. The running knee off the apron, and throws him into the post a ton of times. And pretty much it was a pretty even back and forth match afterwards. Bryan targets the leg of Lesnar. He hits another running knee on him, gets him into the S lock. Brock Lesnar powers out of it and turns it into an F5 and gets the win. But I thought they had a hell of a match. They nearly went 20 minutes. It was 18 minutes and 50 seconds. And it was pretty much about the same match as the AJ Styles match last year. But, yeah, I still thought they had a hell of a match. As for who I thought put on a better performance, I think AJ put on a little bit of a better performance because there was points where you would have thought that probably he was going to beat Brock Lesnar. But Daniel Bryan, I didn't really think that. But I still enjoyed the match. I thought it was a hell of a match. I'll give it 4 stars. I would rate it probably higher, but there were points where I thought, where I was scared thinking that Daniel Bryan got injured, so that's why I'm not rating it higher, but I still enjoyed the match. And that's pretty much Survivor Series. As for what I thought of this show, I like Survivor Series. There was some things that pissed me off about it, like obviously the women's 5-on-5 kind of pissed me off. AOP versus the Bar wasn't that good, and the men's 5-on-5 pissed me off. But I did like Ronda versus Charlotte. The cruiserweight match, Rollins versus Nakamura. I did like the 10-on-10 Survivor Series match, Bryan versus Brock, and there was some stuff that I also enjoyed. They did some comedy with R-Truth that I thought was funny. I enjoyed that. So yeah, I enjoyed it. One thing that really pissed me off about Survivor Series, though, is that pretty much WWE told us that Smackdown is the B show because Raw pretty much shut out Survivor Series. They went 6-0 on the show, which obviously isn't the case because they won the kickoff. SmackDown won the kickoff, and pretty much WWE flat out told us the kickoff doesn't matter because Michael Cole said it on the when they were talking about it. So I thought that was really stupid. So yeah, so the little things like that pissed me off, but overall, I thought Survivor Series was a good show. I'll give it a B-. I liked it. But yeah, there was some things that pissed me off. I think a lot of people are overrated this show, saying this is like a great pay-per-view. I don't quite think that, but I think it's a good show. It does not even come close to sniffing NXT TakeOver War Games, but I thought it was a good show. that's pretty much my review of Survivor Series. I'm gonna go review Raw and get that review up at some point throughout the day, and I'll see you guys then. Okay, so now on to Monday Night Raw for November 19th, 2018. We had the commentary team of Corey Graves, Michael Cohen, Renee Young, and the show starts off with Baron Corbin just already in the ring, ready to cut a promo. He pretty much gloats about the fact how Monday Night Raw proved its superiority over SmackDown, and he brings out the person responsible for it, Stephanie McMahon, and she gloats. And then Baron Corbin starts talking about how they have an action-packed show, but first he wants to talk about how Stephanie McMahon promised that he would be promoted to permanent Raw GM, permanent Raw General Manager if Raw pitched a shout-out over SmackDown. But then Braun Strowman comes out and he says that he was promised some stipulations if he helped Team Raw win at Survivor Series. So Stephanie McMahon makes the match at the TLC, which stands for Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin, and if Baron Corbin wins, he'll become the permanent Raw GM. But if he loses all his power. And obviously Baron Corbin isn't happy about that. And then um, Braun Strowman then says that he gets to pick the stipulations, and he picks a TLC match, which I don't really agree with that. I think that Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins shouldn't have gotten the TLC stip because I think they would have worked better with the stipulation. I get that technically had like a ladder match back at Money in the Bank 2015, but I still think that it would have worked better if they got the TLC stip and Strowman and Corbin got like the chairs match or the tables match at TLC instead. I'm assuming Ambrose and Rollins, if they're gonna do the various combinations of TLC type matches, will get the ladder match, and yeah, that will be that. But yeah, I think that that Ambrose and Rollins should have gotten the TLC match. Um, and what else happened next? And Stephanie McMahon does promise that if Braun Strowman beats Baron Corbin, he'll get his Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble, which I think makes sense. And I'd imagine that Braun Strowman's going to beat Baron Corbin because I don't really see Baron Corbin beating Braun Strowman, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, and then Baron Corbin says that since he's still the acting Raw GM, he attempts to put Braun Strowman in a 2-on-1 handicap match against Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. But Stephanie McMahon instead makes it a 6-man tag team match in celebration of Raw's victory over Survivor Series, and instead makes it um, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Elias. And Elias comes out and does his performance, and it just kicked off right with that match. I thought it was a pretty good 6-man tag team match. I didn't like that it really didn't have much of a finish, but I still thought it was a pretty good 6-man tag. Braun Strowman dominates in the beginning. He body slams Finn Balor right onto Drew McIntyre, which I thought was a nice spot. But then McIntyre comes right back with a body slam on Balor and just beats the crap out of Balor, throws him into the barricades, hits a really cool suplex in the win, and the heels get the heat on Finn Balor for a while until eventually Elias gets a hot tag. And you can still see that Elias is still transitioning to being a babyface because he really doesn't have like a babyface moveset yet. And Elias and Finn Balor work together and double clothesline Lashley out of the ring. And Finn Balor hits a really cool like flip dive onto Lashley and Corbin. And he goes for the coup de grace on McIntyre, but Lashley crotches him on the ropes while the referee's distracted by Corbin. And McIntyre hits the running Claymore kick and eliminates Finn Balor, because I forgot to mention that during the break, Baron Corbin made it in an elimination 6-man tag team match. So then it's down to Elias and Braun Strowman versus Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. The heels get the heat for a while on Elias. Elias mounts a comeback, but he can't make the tag because Lashley and McIntyre took out Strowman on the outside. Elias hits an elbow drop from the top turnbuckle onto Baron Corbin. And then he goes after Leo Rush, and Lashley spears him on the outside and causes Elias to get counted out. So Elias gets eliminated. So now it's just down to Braun Strowman versus the 3 heels. And the 3 heels pick apart Strowman for a while, but eventually he mounts a comeback, hits a running power slam on Corbin. But when he's about to eliminate him, McIntyre comes in the ring and hits Strowman with a steel chair. which eliminates McIntyre, but pretty much just the match gets thrown out, and the heels just beat down Strowman. They attack him with a steel chair, attack him with steel steps, um, and pretty much they hold his all over the steps and with the belt, and Corbin just hits him right across the arm with the steel steps, and that was pretty much the match of the segment. So yeah, I like the match and stuff, and I like this angle, but I didn't really like that this match pretty much went an hour and it didn't have a finish. Don't do a match for an hour if you're not going to have a finish. That's what I have to say. Because if you're going to do that, just have the match be like 15 minutes. Then you had the next segment. It was Seth Rollins coming out to cut a promo, and he cuts a promo talking about Survivor Series weekend, and he talked about how it was. I think it was that day. There was the 6-year anniversary since the Shield had debuted, and he talked about how they did everything together, but it was really just based off that WWE Chronicle that he learned a lot about Dean Ambrose, and that's mainly because Dean Ambrose didn't give Seth Rollins much of an opportunity, because anytime he tried to call him during his injury, Dean Ambrose wouldn't answer, or anytime, or Dean Ambrose never allows anybody to love him or stuff like that, and then Dean Ambrose comes on the screen and pretty much talks about how, yeah, the Shield ran together, we were brothers, but we did a lot of damage in the WWE, both behind the scenes and on camera, and we all have to pay for it at some point. And he talked about how he paid for it. Actually, no, he doesn't say that. He talks about how right now Roman Reigns is paying for it, which I didn't like that line, because pretty much the WWE just said that because of all these despicable acts, Roman Reigns deserves cancer. That was a pretty despicable line, and I thought it was pretty tasteless. But also, it's the same WWE right now that's using a feud based off the death of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, so it's like, whatever. But then he says that Seth Rollins is going to get yours, and it's not like, too, like, they needed to go in this direction. A lot of people, one of my friends said that the fans weren't reacting to Dean Ambrose properly as a heel. He was largely getting booed, and they didn't really need to go in this direction. So it's just, Dean Ambrose easily could have said, I had to get mine, now you need to get yours, something like that. So I didn't really like that they had to go in that line. So Dean Ambrose has the camera show him where he is, and Seth Rollins runs off to go after him. And that was the segment. I didn't mind the segment, but so the segment I liked, but I didn't really like the line that they used with Roman Reigns. I thought that was pretty despicable. And then it shows a vignette for Lars Sullivan. I guess he's going to go to Raw, which I guess makes sense. I do feel for how Lars Sullivan will fare on the main roster. Yes, he's a muscly guy that the WWE machine likes, but so was Braun Strowman, and they haven't put the Universal title on him. And then Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax beat Sasha Banks and Bayley with Alexa Bliss on commentary. The match wasn't good, so that's all I'm going to say about it. And then Charlie Garusso's backstage getting ready to interview Dean Ambrose, but Dean Ambrose comes on the TV and prompts Seth Rollins to go after him, because I forgot to mention that Seth Rollins tried to go after Dean Ambrose, but then security was all around, and Seth Rollins beat up the security, which was pretty funny because one of the security tried to get in his face. So he said that he's going to go into the old Shield hangout, and Rollins tries to follow him in there, but Ambrose isn't in there, and when he turns around on the door, is spray painted, burn it down. I actually like that. I thought it was very good. And then Drake Maverick's backstage. Everybody's making fun of him because he pissed his pants at Survivor Series, especially Beauty and the Man Beast. And then Bobby Roode and Chad Gable make fun of him, and yeah, it was pretty bad. I didn't care for that. Then we had the Lucha House Party versus the Revival in a Lucha House Rules match, which pretty much meant that all three members of Lucha House Party could compete in this match, which didn't make any sense at all, but whatever. Not that good. Somehow the Lucha House Party are heat faces, even though they do a lot of heel tactics, but they beat one of the Revival members, I think it was Dawson, with a shooting star press that Lindsay Dorado hit. I didn't like this at all, though. It just buries the Revival even more and does no favors for the Lucha House Party, so whatever. Then Seth Rollins is backstage again, and he's trying to. He gets interviewed by Charlie Caruso and says that Dean Ambrose may be trying to run and hide from him, but he won't be able to run and hide from him at TLC. And as he's doing this, and he talks about how tasteless it was to bring up Roman Reigns. And as he's doing this, Dean Ambrose walks by and he doesn't even notice. And Titus O'Neil comes up and he just said that he just saw Dean Ambrose and Rollins wants to go after him. I thought it was hilarious. And then Ronda Rousey comes out and cuts a promo and talks about how she may have taken a beating last night, and she knows that Nia Jax is the next person that she has to defend her Raw Women's title against, and she'll beat her. But no matter if she wins, loses, or draws, she's not done with Charlotte Flair, and she wants to issue an open challenge to defend her Raw Women's title because she feels like if you're a champion, if you can't defend your title, then you don't belong in that spot. Apparently, she's never seen a Brock Lesnar championship run. And Baron Corbin comes out and tries to talk her out of it, but Ronda Rousey says that she's had 17 fights, which I don't know if she's counting any of the matches in WWE, and never's backed out of them, and forces Corbin to go get her an opponent, or she'll make an example out of him. So Corbin does it. It's Mickie James. They have a short little match. Ronda Rousey pretty much destroys her, beats her with the armbar. Mickie taps. I thought this was all fine. But you can kind of see that the crowd's starting to turn on Ronda Rousey a little bit, because she got kind of a mixed reaction. They mainly got the "We Want Becky" chants, and yeah, she just kind of got a mixed reaction. So she's being a little exposed a little bit. This is probably a reason why it's not good for her to be a full timer. And then we had Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus AOP with Drake Maverick. AOP just destroys Chad Gable in the beginning. Roode gets the hot tag, and Gable rolls up one of the AOP members for the win, and that was that. Dean Ambrose is backstage, and taunts Seth Rollins to come after him, saying he's not playing any games with them, but if he tries to go after him, it's not going to end well for Seth Rollins. He does like a funny bit where he says that it smells, and he thinks it's Seth Rollins' fear, thinks it's Los Angeles, but it's just all the people, and he takes out his handkerchief. I thought that was hilarious. Then the B team does the Black Friday sale ad, which I don't like the B team, so I didn't like this. Seth Rollins then leaves the arena, pretty much says he has a flight to catch, and he doesn't want to waste any more time catching Dean Ambrose because they'll have to face him at TLC. Then we had Natalya versus Ruby Riott with Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan inside. Not a good match. It's really tough to care about this match when the whole storyline's based off a deceased wrestler. And Natty just beats Ruby Riott with a roll-up. You could say it doesn't make any sense because the Wyatt Squad interfered a ton of times, but Natty had to get a win because it just had to, but I don't think this feud's over because the commentators promoted it like it wasn't. Then we had a Dean Ambrose segment. He comes out to the ring, which I thought this was funny, and taunts the crowd, talks about Seth Rollins to try to get his hands on him, says that the crowd smells. He said that anybody else would have turned their back on the brother, the family members if they were in my position. And I just thought Dean Ambrose came off like an awesome asshole. And then we find out that Seth Rollins really didn't leave the arena, which I'm assuming everyone knew was coming. And he charges the ring and beats the crap out of Dean Ambrose, suicide dives him, throws him into the barricade, hits a high knee off the barricade, throws him in the ring, hits a super kick on him, goes for the stomp. Ambrose moves out of the way, low blows Seth Rollins, and then he hits two dirty deeds on him to end the show. But I love the new Dean Ambrose. He should have turned heel a long time ago, and I feel like he's very freshened up. And I think him turning heel made a whole lot of sense. And I think they did it at the perfect time because even though like Roman Reigns' leukemia, rushed the heel turn, I feel like if he had turned heel already, when he came back before Roman would have got the leukemia, they would have cut the feud, and it would have been kind of weird. So I think he turned at the right time. And up until, this point when they brought up the Roman Reigns stuff, it was going very well. I still think it's going fine, but if they drop the Roman Reigns comment within the next few weeks, I still think it can be salvageable. But yeah, this was a pretty big hit for WWE this week. But that was pretty much Raw. Pretty much I thought Raw was an alright show. The tough thing is I really can't say it was a bad show because a lot of the show took up the Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, and the Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose feud, and I did like the Ronda Rousey segment they did, so I'll give it a C plus. Um, but the all the undercut stuff I didn't care for, like the Raw Tag Team title scene and just the Raw Tag Team scene I don't care about. The woman Sasha Banks and Tamina versus Nia Jax and stuff I didn't care about, but I did. But pretty much the entire show took up, you know, the Braun Strowman and Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins stuff. So I can't really hate this show. So I'll say it was an all right show. I'll give it a C plus. I'll be generous and give it a C plus. But that's pretty much my review of Raw. At some point today, I'll watch SmackDown and give you guys my review of that. So tune in to that when I get an opportunity to get it up. All right, so now on to WWE SmackDown for November 20th, 2018. And we had the commentary team of Corey Graves, Tom Phillips, and Byron Saxton. And the show starts off with a Charlotte Flair promo. I thought this made sense. I thought it was an appropriate placement on the show because everybody wanted to know why Charlotte Flair attacked Ronda Rousey and all that stuff. And pretty much he said that she talks about how she enjoyed the beating, giving Ronda Rousey that beating, and she did it not only for herself, but for all the women backstage in the SmackDown locker room and for Becky Lynch. And she talks about how she's not going to give Ronda Rousey an apology, and she even talks about how she's fought beside and against Becky for years, but Sunday she fought, which was at Survivor Series, for Becky. And I thought this was a really dumb promo, and you can definitely feel that. I don't think Charlotte Flair is quite a heel, but you can definitely feel that she has a little bit of an edge to her now. And I'm alright with that. You know, I think that that's pretty damn cool. Um, I like the new Charlotte Flair. I think she needed a little bit of a change, and they're not necessarily doing a heel turn, but she's got a little bit more of an edge behind her. So then Paige comes out, and she's proud of what Charlotte Flair did because she did it for SmackDown, but Charlotte Flair snapped and went a little bit too far, so she challenges her like $100,000. Well, she fines her $100,000 for assaulting referees at Survivor Series. And then the Iconics come out and make fun of Charlotte Flair for snapping. So Charlotte Flair challenges one of them to a matchup, and it ended up being Billie Kay that accepted the match. So we had that match. Charlotte Flair easily won. And then she wasn't done yet, though. She wanted to wrestle Peyton Royce. So they had a match, and Charlotte Flair was about to beat Peyton Royce, but then Billie Kay attacked her. The Iconics beat the crap out of Charlotte Flair. They try to get a steel chair, but the timekeeper doesn't give it to her. So then Charlotte Flair hits a double spear on the outside and bounces both the Iconics' heads on the announce table. She does it at first one at a time, and then she just does it at the same time. And I really like this segment. I really like the new Charlotte Flair. And I like the new aggressive Charlotte Flair. I think it's definitely feeling like we are going to get a match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair at some point. I would like to see them, the match get set up for the Royal Rumble, and then they do Ronda versus Becky at WrestleMania. And the best way to do that is, TLC is a double branded pay per view. Why not have, after Ronda Rousey beats Nia Jax, why not have something go down between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey? I think that would be pretty cool. Then Rey Mysterio's backstage, and he cuts a promo on Randy Orton saying that he's been disrespected by him, and he says that he's fought a lot of superstars throughout the years, but he's never met anyone as vicious as Randy Orton. But he said that his spirit's gone through each one of those superstars, his fighting spirit, anyways, and the same thing's going to happen to Randy Orton tonight. So I like that promo. I thought it was good. Then we had Miz TV with Shane McMahon, and everybody loved The Miz, and The Miz didn't like. I wonder if The Miz is gonna go face because typically when he gets cheered, he'll normally try to say something that makes him boo. But on this show, he said that he's happy to be back in Los Angeles as well. But he brings out Shane McMahon, the best in the world. They even show the World Cup, so they haven't forgotten about that. And he pretty much kisses up to Shane McMahon, puts him over, talking about how, their teamwork helped him win at Survivor Series. Well, not win at Survivor Series, but nearly beats Raw at Survivor Series, and they're both considered the co-best in the world since the Miz is 2/3 of the best of the world, and the Miz asked to be Shane McMahon's tag team partner, and Shane McMahon doesn't really agree with this because the Miz is busy with his Hollywood wrestling and what's it called? His reality TV career, and Shane McMahon's busy being the commissioner of Smackdown. But the Miz says that he already had a match set up, with teaming up with Shane, against the best tag team in the world, and who comes out? None other than the Bryan brothers, pretty much local wrestlers, and they have the match, and the Miz beats one of them up. I don't know which one was which, and he hits all his traditional moves on him, and he's showing that Shane McMahon that maybe they could work together as a tag team, but then he goes to finish him off. One of the Bryan brothers rolls up Miz and gets the win, and I think that has to be the upset of the century. And I liked it. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought it made sense. And I don't know if they're gonna. I'm thinking they're setting up a future match down the line between Shane McMahon and The Miz, possibly at WrestleMania, which I wouldn't complain about that. And yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I was entertained by this. Then Randy, oh no, that's not what happens. Then the New Day's backstage getting ready for the Thanksgiving feast fight, and they wanted to do the Gobbledygooker, who's R-Truth is dressed up as. And then we had the New Day versus Showboat in a Thanksgiving feast fight. The New Day just pretty much cuts a promo using a lot of Thanksgiving puns. I did like Big E's line where he would talk about where he said that he's happy to be in front of all these breasts, and Kofi was like, dude. And Big E's like, I meant the turkey breast. I didn't think that was funny. And it was a pretty boring match. And I don't normally mind when they do these Hollywood-themed feast fights because it's once a year. They want to do something for the holidays, but they barely did anything in this match. They barely even utilized the stipulation, so I didn't really like that. Eventually, they do utilize the stipulation. Big E puts Big Show through a table, and then Sheamus gets sent to the outside, and Kofi goes off the top with a turkey and puts Sheamus to the table, which I didn't really understand how the turkey would have made that move more impactful. I guess it was hot, but I don't know. I feel like you get the same impact. And then Big E hits Sheamus with the turkey and wins. And then Cesaro tries to attack the New Day with cranberry sauce, and they just threw a bunch of Thanksgiving food in his face, and that was that. It was really not that good. And then Randy Orton's backstage, and he says that the luchador mask represents tradition, but he doesn't think it represents anything. He just thinks it's a cheap knockoff mask, and he says that tonight he's going to rip off the mask and erase Rey Mysterio from the WWE. Good promo. And then we had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville versus the Empress of Glow. They're doing a storyline with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville where they can't work together, so it led to them losing, and Asuka put Sonya Deville in the Asuka lock, and that was that. I did like the hip attack combination that the Empress of Glow hit, though. I thought that was a nice touch, but really didn't care much about this match. Then it showed another vignette for Lars Sullivan. I don't know if he's going to Raw or SmackDown. Make up your minds. And then we finally get the promo with Daniel Bryan explaining why he turned his back on the WWE Universe. Before that, though, they did announce that at TLC, we are going to have the WWE Championship match. It's going to be Daniel Bryan defended against AJ Styles, so I'm assuming we're going to see AJ Styles at some point. And Daniel Bryan talks about how he's not doing the explanation for the fans. He's doing it for himself. And he says that he didn't turn his back on the WWE Universe. He did that a long time ago when he decided to retire. And Daniel Bryan continues to refer to himself in third person and call himself the old Daniel Bryan, which obviously we'll get into that. And Daniel Bryan says that he battled and went through all of this doctor's appointments and did everything he could to fight to get back into the ring, and he finally succeeded. And everybody loved it because it was the biggest comeback story ever. And he said that at WrestleMania, you guys all cheered when I came back. But all of that was to you was a moment. You guys didn't have to go through the doctor's appointments. You didn't have to go through any of that. You didn't have to go through any of the struggles. And then he says that as the weeks started to go by, the yes chant started to quiet down even more. And everybody should know that the old Daniel Bryan didn't accept failure. So when Daniel Bryan saw an opportunity to win the WWE title, his dreams took over and he beat AJ Styles. And he says that at Survivor Series, the old Daniel Bryan allowed Brock Lesnar to beat him up the way he did to cleanse himself of the old Daniel Bryan, which I liked that because it gave him an excuse for the reason why he lost. And he says that he doesn't do anything for the fans anymore. He says that there's no more old Daniel Bryan, no more yes chants, just the people. And from now on, he's declaring himself the new Daniel Bryan. And that was the end of the segment. And I loved it. I love the new Daniel Bryan. I think he's awesome, and I really can't wait to see where this goes. I'm excited about it, and yeah, I love this. I thought it was great. And then R-Truth and Carmella do Black Friday advertisement. And then we had the main event. It was Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. I thought they had a pretty good match. Rey Mysterio gets the advantage early. He goes for the 619, but Randy Orton moves out of the way. He hits a Cena senton from the apron. And then Randy Orton crotches Rey Mysterio on the apron. He tries to whip his mask off. Rey Mysterio fights out of it. And when it comes back from commercial, he's trying to do it again. He nearly does it, but Rey Mysterio is able to fight it off a second time. He goes for a missile drop kick, but Randy Orton pushes him out of the way. And then Rey Mysterio starts to mount a comeback. He hits a really cool springboard leg drop onto Randy Orton. And he hits the 619, but Randy Orton rolls out of the ring. And he ends up kicking Orton in the head. And he goes for his springboard splash he's been using since he's been back in WWE. But Randy Orton ends up catching him. Well, it's not really a springboard splash, more like a suicide dive type of splash, but Randy Orton catches him into an RKO, and he puts him back in the ring. He picks him up by his mask and hits another RKO, and Rey Mysterio covers him and gets the win. And then afterwards, Randy Orton grabs a steel chair, rips the mask off Rey Mysterio, and puts the chair around his neck and slams Mysterio into the steel post. And Randy Orton leaves with Rey Mysterio's mask. And I loved this segment. I thought it made Randy Orton look like an awesome heel, and it made Mysterio look like an awesome babyface, and I loved it. And I'm assuming they're going to do a blow-off match at TLC because they did that angle, which I'd be all right with. And that was pretty much SmackDown. I like SmackDown. I thought it was a good show. I don't think it was a great show, but I thought it was a good show. I liked the main event. I liked Charlotte Flair's presence on the show. I liked the Miz TV segment, and I liked Daniel Bryan's promo segment. The only thing I didn't really care much for was the Thanksgiving feast fight and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville versus the Empress of Glow. But everything else I thought was good. But it wasn't a great show, though, but I thought it was a good show. I'm going to give SmackDown a B-. I thought it was a good show. That's my review of SmackDown. Now, the next review is going to be... Well, actually, the next review is going to be 205 Live, so I'll try to watch that and have that up. So I will be back with 205 Live either later tonight or sometime tomorrow. Okay, so now this is being recorded on November 25th, 2018 at 12:35 p.m. And now I'm here to give you guys my 205 Live portion of the video. So let's just get right into that. This episode of 205 Live took place on November 21st, 2018, and we had Percy Watson, Vic Joseph, and Nigel McGuinness on commentary. The show opens up with a promo of Buddy Murphy, and he pretty much just comes out and gloats about his victory at Survivor Series and retaining his Cruiserweight title. I thought it was a good promo, and it segues into a match between Tony Nese and Noam Dar, with Buddy Murphy in Tony Nese's corner, since, they're like a team. And before the match, Noam Dar does one of those little video promos talking about how his priorities have been all over the place lately since he's been going back and forth from NXT UK to 205 Live. But he asked Drake Maverick for this match tonight because he feels like that if he takes out Tony Nese, it can give him a future opportunity at Buddy Murphy's Cruiserweight title, which I thought kind of made sense. And I thought they had a good match. I thought it was worked really well. I like that shin kick that Noam Dar hits on the apron, causing his opponents to fall. I really think that's a clever move. And Noam Dar starts talking shit into Buddy Murphy's face, which distracts him long enough for Tony Nese to throw him into the ring apron and hit a gutbuster on the outside. And Tony Nese dominates the match for a while, and then Noam Dar mounts a comeback. He hits another shin kick, knocking Tony Nese off the second turnbuckle, which I thought was cool. He gets him into a guillotine lock a handful of times, but Tony Nese continues to counter it. Then eventually he hits a kick from the apron, and he goes for his supernova kick that he likes to use, but the referee's distracted by Tony Nese being down. And earlier, Noam Dar took a cheap shot at Buddy Murphy, so Buddy Murphy sweeps Noam Dar's leg, which causes Tony Nese to capitalize. He German suplexes him into the turnbuckle and hits the running Nese for the win. And Tony Nese gets the win, and afterwards, Buddy Murphy takes a cheap shot at Noam Dar. I like this. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good way to put Tony Nese over, and I thought it made Buddy Murphy look like a strong Cruiserweight champion. And afterwards, Mustafa Ali does one of those little cell phone promos talking about how he isn't happy that he lost at Survivor Series, but he's not going to walk away from this pain. He's going to embrace this pain and utilize it to one day finally become Cruiserweight champion. Thought it was a really good promo. I thought Mustafa Ali knocked it out of the park. And then backstage, Drake Maverick is talking to the referee that's going to referee the main event match between TJP and Grand Metalik. And, wants to make sure Maria Kanellis isn't going to pull anything. And then Cedric Alexander walks in, and Drake Maverick is happy to see that Cedric Alexander is back on his winning ways. And he wants to make the biggest main event in 205 Live history, which will be a tag team match between Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali versus Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese, which I'm excited to see that match. I think that match will be real good. And yeah, I don't know what that's going to set up to, if it's going to set up to a rematch between Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali, if it's going to set up Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali in the big rematch, or if it's going to set up maybe Cedric turning on Mustafa Ali and set up their match, or if it's going to set up Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy. There's a lot of things that could come out of that match, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. And then we had Akira Tozawa and the Bryan Kendrick versus a couple of enhancement talent in a tag team match. Before the match, Drew Gulak and Gentleman Jack Gallagher get interviewed, and they pretty much talk about how the Bryan Kendrick has really gone soft if he's teaming up with some scoundrel like Akira Tozawa. And they talk about how they make people tap out because they're the submission commission. I hope they're not going to go with that tag team name because I think that's a pretty lame tag team name. Then we had the match. It was pretty much an enhancement match. The Bryan Kendrick hits a sliced bread onto one of the enhancement talents, and Tozawa hits the senton off the top turnbuckle for the win. The sliced bread number 2 kind of got messed up, but other than that, I thought it was fine. And afterwards, they both two Tozawas scream together, which I actually like. I kind of like this oddball team up of the Bryan Kendrick and Akira Tozawa. And then Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese are backstage, and they get interviewed by Dasso Fluentes, and they ask him if they're going to be able to pull out a victory against Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. And Buddy Murphy answers their question answers her question with a stupid question by asking when those Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships are coming, which I actually think is funny because obviously that's been speculated for like months, that they were going to have Cruiserweight Tag Team titles and they never come out, so I did like that he said that. But he pretty much says that they're the most dominant duo in 205 Live, and how he's beaten, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali in singles matches. He's just going to beat them both at the same time. And then Buddy Murphy walks away, and Tony Nese is just like, come on, Dasha, you got to be better than that. Because she asked that stupid question. I thought it was really funny. Then we had the main event. It was Grand Metalik with Kalisto and Lince Dorado versus DJP with Mike and Maria Kanellis. Before the match starts, Mike Kanellis and TJP come up with the luchador mask that TJP has stolen from the Lucha House Party. And I think it was funny because Nigel McGuinness was saying on commentary that it's TJ Listo and Lince Kanellis or something like that. He pretty much gave like parody names of the Lucha House Party to Mike Kanellis and TJP. And the Lucha House Party obviously get upset about this and go to attack him. And Drake Maverick comes out and restores order, and it bans Kalisto, Lince Dorado, and Mike and Maria Kanellis from ringside. It makes the TJP Grand Metalik match just a flat-out one-on-one match. And Grand Metalik and TJP have the match. Grand Metalik immediately starts the match on fire by hitting all his signature moves on TJP right away, trying to get the victory. But then TJP is able to stop the emotional storm of Grand Metalik. He ends up hitting a dive on the outside, and Nigel McGuinness had another great line where he's saying that song, anything you can do, I can do better, which is obviously from a movie that I can't think of the name of at the moment. And then TJP gets the heat for a while. He did mess up the straight jacket gut buster that he normally hits. I don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong. And then he gets Grand Metalik in the Muda lock. Grand Metalik mounts a comeback. He hits a really cool cross body, really cool suicide dive, and eventually hits the Metalik driver. But other stuff had happened other than that. TJP hit a really cool super kick. Grand Metalik hit a Hurricanrana from the apron to the outside onto TJP. TJP hit a really cool sit-out power bomb, stuff like that. But then Grand Metalik went for the the tightrope walk, elbow drop, but TJP counted it into a cross arm breaker. Grand Metalik, and which he turns into the knee bar. Grand Metalik fought out of that, and then Grand Metalik beats TJP with a roll up, and afterwards, and I thought the match was real good. Probably one of the better matches that they've ever had. You really can't go wrong with having TJP and Grand Metalik in a win together. You're always going to get magic with them, if you believe in magic anyways. And then afterwards, Maria Kanellis is on the microphone, all upset because Drake Maverick ruined their plan, but this was just used as a ploy so that way Mike Kanellis could sneak up behind and lay out the Lucha House Party with a steel chair. And then TJP puts, I believe it was Grand Metalik in the knee bar, and pretty much when the referees and stuff come down, they take off, and they're all happy that the plan ended up working out, and they leave the Lucha House Party laying. And that was pretty much this week's episode of 205 Live. I thought it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just a good follow-up episode to Survivor Series. I really enjoyed the two matches that were on this show. I even enjoyed the enhancement match, and I enjoyed the way they built to the next show. So I thought it was a really good episode. I'm going to give it a solid B, and that's pretty much my review of 205 Live. Now I'm going to watch main event and then get that portion of the review up. Alright, so now on to main event. We had the same commentary team for 205 Live that was on main event, and you can definitely see the difference when all three of them commentate like a main roster show versus like a 205 Live or an NXT. It's completely different. They're not as good, especially Vic. But this main event took place the same date as 205 Live, November 21st, 2018. At least that's what Hulu said, so I'm just going to go based off that. And we only had 2 matches on the show. The first one was Ember Moon versus Alicia Fox. I thought that was a fine match. Alicia Fox gets the advantage early with a pretty cool spinning neck breaker, and then Ember Moon does a really cool escape of the chin lock, and then Alicia Fox tries to beat her with the big boot. Ember Moon kicks out, and then Ember Moon hits a really cool insecurity, and then hits the Eclipse for the win. It was a fine match. I'll give it 2.25. I know I don't know why I did a star rating, but just force a habit, I guess. Then you had the main event of main event, Apollo Crews versus Jinder Mahal with the Sin Brothers ringside. And Apollo Crews beat Jinder Mahal with the standing moonsault. It was a pretty damn boring match. So that's all I'm going to say about it. But my, how the mighty have fallen. Around a year ago at this time, Jinder Mahal was in the main event title picture. He was a former WWE champion, and now he's losing on main event. So definitely shows that his 15 minutes of fame is over forever. That was main event. It's a pretty average show, giving it a C minus. And that's pretty much the end of my WWE All Talk. I might start to make this a weekly thing. I'll either do it on the main roster stuff, but if I have to do it on 205 Live or anything like that, um, I'll do it for that stuff too. But I'm gonna make this a weekly thing. I think it's easier than just uploading the videos all singularly. So instead, I'm gonna make WWE All Talk a weekly thing. So, and I might not try to do that for just WWE videos. I might do it for other wrestling companies. So I am gonna make WWE All Talk a weekly thing because I enjoy it. But that's pretty much the end of this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell. So that way, every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and No One the Talking 80 YouTube channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.